Hi, and welcome to Fuck Around and Get Paid, the podcast where fun, flow, and strategy meet to help you get paid for doing what you love. I'm your host, Jennifer Liss, and today's episode, we're going to talk about releasing the pressure so you can get paid. Let's dive in. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about one of the things that I am most familiar with in life, which is pressure. Under pressure, pushing down on me. Under pressure. How do we release the pressure so that you can get paid? Because I'm telling you, my friends, pressure is not the way. Although your system will tell you that pressure is the way to paydays. It's going to be like, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you're going to be putting pressure on yourself. That is ultimately not the most powerful path. Yes, pressure can be something that is supportive to us in getting things done. And so there's nothing wrong with pressure. And we're actually going to talk in this episode about how there's never anything wrong. Now, if that sounds like a crazy concept, we're going to dive into that in just a minute. But what I want to share with you is actually a story from a client who reached out to me the other day, and she said, oh my gosh, I just accomplished a monster task. And she's been inside the expansion room and learning and working inside of there and going through all of the modules and coming to live calls. And she said, for the first time ever, I just accomplished something that was a big monster task, and I did it with fun. I did it with joy. I did it without extreme pressure and stress and all of the ways that I have always done it. I've always made it hard, and she has accomplished some really major big things. As she said, I've always done it through this need for the pressure to push me, and I did it a whole different way this time. And she said the experience of that is so eye-opening and life-changing. And here's what I want to share with you is that although this way of like putting on the pressure to achieve, the pressure to perform, the feelings of overwhelm, the feelings of time scarcity, all of these things that are constraints that really genuinely do work, and we can use them. We call those creative constraints, little constraints that you naturally will put on yourself to get things done. That's normal, and it's okay that we use those sometimes, but a lot of times we're using them constantly, and that's our main motivation. So what I'm talking about in this concept of fuck around and get paid is that that does not have to be our primary motivation. It's just that for a lot of us, it has been ingrained in us as our primary motivation because of primary school, because of the way that we learned that we need to get things done. We were not taught, most of us, maybe you were taught that joy is a legit strategy, that doing it the fun way will ultimately be the way that can be just as rewarding, and you can get so much done and so much accomplished the fun way. But I personally did not learn that. I was not taught that by any models in my life, by so many different things. So I did not personally learn that. So I don't know about you, but that's something that has been a learning process for me in my adult life. But this is where I want to introduce something that I think is relatively new for most of us, is this idea that you're never getting anything wrong. You're always getting it right. How does your system feel when I say that? You're always getting it right. You have never done anything wrong. You have always done everything exactly right, based on the information that you had, based on the coding that you have in your system, based on the knowledge that is available to you, based on everything that you have been taught and everything that you've learned and all of the behaviors that are ingrained in you. You have always done everything exactly right, according to your perspective, according to the way that you see the world and the way that your nervous system is trained to behave in the world. You have always done everything exactly right, according to the knowledge that you have. You've always done it right, and you've always been exactly on time. However, part of what your system believes is that you're always behind and that you're never doing it right and you're always getting it wrong and you're doing things that are bad or not good or not right, right? So you're always getting it right because you're affirming your system's beliefs that you're doing it wrong. It's crazy. It's crazy. If you need to go listen to that again, go listen to that again, because we're always confirming the beliefs of our system. So what do we need to do is retrain the system so that you're always continuing to get it right, but you're getting it right according to what your system believes, which is that you can have fun and you can get paid the fun and easy way by following your heart's desires, by following the things that you love to do. You can retrain your system to affirm that instead of continuing to affirm the belief that you're always behind. Because let me just walk you through the process of what happens. Because the feeling of behind is actually affirming your system's belief that you need to slow down. And so that's why feelings of pressure and feelings of behind are actually always, although they feel productive, they're actually slowing you down because your system believes that if you move too fast, if you let go of control, if you start to have too much fun, things are going to move way too fast. It's going to expand you into new ways, and to your system, that feels really safe. It feels really safe to slow you down. It feels really unsafe to move out into the unknown. So this is what happens, is that you have a task that you need to accomplish. Say you want to write a book, but you feel behind because you haven't yet written a book. So your system gives you the signal, you're behind, haven't yet written it. So then you feel pressure. You feel pressure in your system. I'm behind. You get stressed out. You feel this pressure to go and write something, but you don't do it because you're so stressed out. So then you do a whole bunch of other little tasks. Maybe you go clean your house, you go reorganize something, or you go reorganize your desktop, or you go do something that makes yourself feel accomplished and feel better. And then you feel okay again. But then you realize, shit, I haven't written the book yet. I haven't even written a page of the book yet. I haven't written a chapter. I haven't even written a single word. Now I feel behind again. Now I feel pressure. Now I feel stressed out. Now I'm going to go busy myself with stuff again. And then I'm going to feel better because I did something, but then I'm going to feel behind again. Okay, so now when we look at that from an outside view, we see nothing got accomplished, except maybe your desktop is very organized. Otherwise, the book is still not written. So we see the loop of what pressure does to us. It busies us with things that don't move us forward because it's reaffirming the loop that I can't go and make things happen because if I do, time is going to speed up. It's out of my control. So I'm going to keep it in this controlled loop of pressure. That's what your system is doing. It's very intelligent. It is keeping you feeling behind so that you stay behind because it wants you to stay there so that you're nice and protected. But when you recognize, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm actually always on time. This is exactly when I am supposed to be sitting down to write this book. Everything that I have gained along my journey to this point has taught me exactly what I need and exactly what I need to know to sit down and write this book. You have this thought instead of the thought I'm behind. It's like, oh, I'm always on time. Oh, I have everything that I need. Oh, I never got anything wrong. I always got everything right because it's led me to this point where I can start to sit down and write this book. So can you feel the difference in your system? Your system, when it hears that, when it is reaffirmed with that, you relax. It's like, oh, of course, now is the time. Now is the time for me to do it. So you relax and you rest, and you might go for a walk, and you might say, you know what would feel really good is to go take my journal. I'm going to handwrite this book, at least for the first few pages, and I'm going to go sit underneath a tree, and I'm going to just journal a little bit. And then maybe you go and you take a nap underneath the tree with your journal. And when you wake up, you have a good idea. And you're like, oh, that would be the perfect way to start this chapter. And so then you sit and you write that idea. Things have started moving because your system has relaxed and it has opened, and it's been reaffirmed that you've not done anything wrong. You've always done everything right. And now the system feels safe to move forward. However, your system, because it's so looped into this pressure system that is slowing you down, it will try to pull you back into that. So where we have to reaffirm and over and over and over is the belief that you are always on time, that you've never done anything wrong at all. Now, recognize though that so much of what we have learned in the self-development world, in the self-help world, in the healing world, is that everything has gone wrong. Everything that we have learned, it's all wrong. All of the way that we are doing things, it's wrong. I've got to go in and I've got to correct and I've got to fix it. And gosh, dang it, I'm still doing the same thing again. Here I am doing the same loop. Do you see which loop that reinforces? Does it reinforce this open, relaxed loop that's going to take you to go journal and to progress things forward? Or is it going to go take you back into that pressure loop that actually spins your wheels and does not take you anywhere? So it takes a conscious effort to go back to start this new loop and to have thoughts that are reaffirming thoughts. So why not introduce a new thought, a new concept, a new idea? But when we introduce a new thought or a concept or an idea, it does take repetition for us. And, I have to be careful with this work. And even as I communicate this to you, because it can so clearly start to come across even for me, like you're doing it wrong because you're stuck in these old mental loops. And it's like, no, dude, like everything is good. It's all cool. Life is what it is. Everything in your life, Peter Crone teaches this. Everything in your life has happened, and it could not have happened any other way. You have gone through these loops and it has ultimately served you, and you can continue staying down those loops and keep learning all of the lessons that continuing down the cycles of those loops will continue to teach you. Or you can shift now and start to speed up and start to quantum leap into new possibilities. Because if we don't change the thought pattern, it's just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And I am a firm believer that at every new level, that loop is going to trigger again. The pressure is going to trigger again. So also not making ourselves wrong when the loop comes up again. Because if you are somebody who is expanding and who is pushing yourself into new realms, you're going to feel it again. It's simply going to happen. But you're doing everything so beautifully, and you always have been. It's your choice at this point. It becomes actually a preference. Sometimes we use the word choice, but I like the word preference. Like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer these pressure loops, this feeling of I don't have enough time, I'm always behind? Do you prefer that? Or would you prefer to affirm the belief that it gets to be fun, that it gets to be easy, that you get to enjoy yourself, and recognize that when you enjoy yourself, just like my client, she's like, I got it done in record time and I had a freaking blast doing it. How is that possible? I never believed that that was possible before. And it is. It's just about reaffirming that loop. And again, the whole reason that your system stops you from doing it is because it does not want you to speed up. That feels scary. It feels out of control. So we can have so much compassion for ourselves that this is new. This is different. It's a new way of looking at things. In fact, I've been in conversation with so many people who are joining Own Your Shit or thinking about joining it, which is my 10-week immersion to excavate your genius and own the fuck out of it so you can get paid to be you. And the number one thing that people are saying to me is, I don't have time for this right now. And I recognize that we are very busy. Like life in this current world that we live in, there's so many opportunities. There are so many things that we can be doing. I ask people, like, what are you currently making time for? And are those things that you're making time for ultimately getting you toward the goal that you have, the intentions that you have for your business, the intentions that you have for making money? Because it's totally okay if you don't have intentions for your business right now and for it to be making money and bringing in income and serving you in that way. That is so cool if that's not your focus right now. But if it is, if that's something that you have a strong intention to make your first 100K year, to make your first 500K year, $1 million year, then where are you actually spending your time? Is it in some of these loops of always feeling behind and doing things that aren't necessarily moving you forward? Or are you taking the intentional time to focus on the things that you know are going to propel you forward? Which, again, to reinforce the message of this podcast, is focusing on the things that bring you joy, focusing on your gifts, because using your gifts ultimately brings you so much joy, and doing it in a way that creates more of these sped up loops, these quantum leap loops, instead of these slow, low loops that we're often catching ourselves in, which creates that feeling of, I don't have time. I only have time for all of the things that I'm doing, which are often, if we're really honest with ourselves, the things that we're spending time on are often not the things that are serving the fast loops. They're the things that are serving the slow loops. And so it becomes preference, and it becomes that choice. Like, where do I want to be spending my time? And I would love for people who want to be in the fast loops, in the loops that are really moving you forward and quantum leaping you, taking quantum leaps of joy, as one of my beautiful clients likes to say, then I would love to see you inside of Own Your Shit, because the work that we are going to be doing is this exact thing, is speeding up time by focusing on the things that are ultimately moving your business forward, which is that positioning your offer into something that brings you just as much joy as it brings to the world. And so we're doing more and more of that. So it's not busy work. We all hear this term, busy work. If you're going to be busy doing the things that are bringing you joy, that are bringing you income, and that are bringing others joy too. And that's the whole concept of fucking around and getting paid. And I truly believe that it's possible for every single one of us. But when we're stuck in loops of pressure, what I want you to recognize is that you are ultimately choosing the experience that you prefer. And so if you're choosing those loops of pressure, then you're preferring that. So which one do you want to choose? And so I encourage you to really be honest with yourself about this. And, I'm honest with myself all the time about this, because I'm always growing in new ways, and I will find myself making myself wrong. I will find myself feeling behind. I will find myself in those loops of pressure. And it takes intentionality to move ourselves into this new way of being and back into that, and surrounding ourselves with others who are doing it too, because my goodness, most of this world is operating on the other way. If you look around in the world around you, most of the world is firmly believing that hard work is the way, that control is the way, that dominance, dominating our systems, dominating ourselves, dominating other people, that is ultimately the way. And I believe that the energy right now is revealing to us how destructive that way is. And it starts at the individual level. It starts with, how are you dominating yourself? How are you putting this pressure on yourself? And do you really prefer that? Because if it is what you're choosing, then yeah, you're choosing that as your preference. So perhaps you would prefer a different way. Maybe you can consider that for yourself today and what you would love to do. If you happen to be hearing this on Tuesday, April 14th, and early enough in the morning to come catch me at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be hosting a free live community call that is to help you reveal your top gifts. Because one of the things that keeps us in cycles of pressure is not leaning into the things that you really love to do and the things that come really, really easy to you. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And so you can join us on that call if you want to. It's at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and you can just hop onto the Zoom. You can go to jenliss.com/genius right at 11 o'clock this morning, Pacific time. And that is 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to hop on jenliss.com/genius, that'll take you straight to the Zoom, and you can come hop on with us where we're going to be doing some of this quantum leap work and choosing your preferences so that you can speed up time for yourself instead of staying in these pressure loops that are keeping you from really leaning into your joy and your fun and your delight. So remember, whether you're able to join us today or not, you are never behind. You are always on time. Everything has happened exactly as it happened, exactly for you today. Everything is going just right for you. And from this point forward, you get the choice of what is the experience that you would prefer? And can you lean in to your joy today? Can you allow your system to relax, knowing that you're exactly where you're intended to be? Trust that your next step is going to be guided to you as you believe and truly start to live in this belief that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope to see you in the next one. If you loved this episode, I encourage you to go to Apple Podcasts, scroll all the way to the bottom, leave me a review. That would absolutely mean the world to me. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.